Cam Ward didn't have to say much for the entire NFL world to stop and rewind his post-game interview, because the few words he did choose sent shockwaves straight through Cleveland. After Shedeur Sanders delivered one of the most electric rookie performances the Browns have ever seen, a quiet storm began brewing behind the scenes. Fans were celebrating. Analysts were scrambling to adjust their rankings. And suddenly, every camera turned toward the one person who had just been overshadowed in real time, Cam Ward. And here's the part nobody expected. Ward responded, not with a loud statement, not with trash talk, but with a calm, measured tone that almost hid the weight of what he was really saying. Almost. Because underneath the compliments and controlled answers, you could hear something shifting. A rivalry, tightening, pressure building, expectations crashing down harder than any defensive blitz he faced on the field. Shedeur didn't just throw for over 300 yards. He didn't just make history. He walked into the NFL spotlight and took ownership of it, without ever saying he intended to. His confidence didn't come from bragging. It came from execution, from precision, from playing like someone who already sees the bigger picture. And that's exactly why his post-game comments felt even heavier. He talked about flaws, improvement, efficiency, and accountability, as if 300 yards was just a warm-up. Meanwhile, Cam Ward spoke like a man fighting two battles at once, the one on the field and the one inside himself. His praises were genuine, but the tension behind them was impossible to ignore. He acknowledged Shedeur, respected Shedeur, but he also reminded the league that he's here too, that he's grinding, that he's not fading into the background without a fight. This wasn't just another press conference. This was the beginning of the story prepared for two rookies, both talented, both driven, both trying to build something real in Cleveland. But only one of them can own the city. And now, with every throw, every headline, and every subtle post-game comment, that question gets louder. Because if this is how the season starts, just imagine where this rivalry is headed next. Shedeur Sanders didn't just have a good night. He delivered the kind of performance that flips narratives, rewrites expectations, and forces even the quietest doubters to clear their throat. When a rookie quarterback steps onto an NFL field and casually drops over 300 passing yards like it's nothing, people pay attention. But when he becomes the first in Browns history to do it, that's when the league stops scrolling and starts talking. From the moment he released his first laser over the middle, it felt like Shedeur had entered a different zone. Not reckless confidence, not blind aggression, just total control. He read length, coverages like a veteran, moved in the pocket with surprising patience, and strung together drives that looked nothing like a rookie trying to find his footing. Instead, it looked like someone who had been waiting for this moment for years and wasn't about to waste a second of it. Fans felt it immediately. Analysts started pulling stat sheets. Even neutral observers online admitted they hadn't seen a Browns rookie command an offense like this in a long time. And the timing made it even bigger. This wasn't just any game. It was the one Cam Ward was also trying to stake his claim in. Because Cam didn't play poorly. Not at all. He moved the ball, created opportunities, and flashed the talent that made people believe he deserved to be drafted high. But the reality? Shedeur simply outshined him. In a league where perception sometimes moves faster than facts, that difference mattered. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't two promising rookies. It was Shedeur just took the driver's seat. And that's what sparked everything that followed. Ward's performance was strong, but Shedeur's was headline material. People don't remember solid nights. They remember record-breaking ones. And the moment Shedeur turned his final completion into another statement drive, the comparisons began. That's when reporters started asking what Cam thought. That's when fans shifted their focus. And that's when the quiet rivalry between these two rookies, a rivalry that's been simmering since draft day, finally started to boil. Because no matter how you spin it, no matter how respectfully the players talk in front of microphones, Shedeur's explosion didn't just lift the Browns. It put pressure on Cam Ward that he couldn't ignore. When Cam Ward stepped up to the microphone after the game, he didn't look rattled. He didn't look intimidated. In fact, he carried himself exactly how a quarterback is supposed to carry. Himself, calm, composed, and collected. But beneath that calm exterior, there was a different kind of energy, one that only shows up when a player knows the spotlight has shifted somewhere else. And in this case, that spotlight was fixed squarely on Shedeur Sanders. Cam opened with praise. He complimented Shedeur's performance, applauded the Browns' offensive line, and recognized the plays that made the difference. On the surface, it was everything you'd expect from a professional. But listen closely, not to what he said, but how he said it. And you could hear the edge, the controlled tone, the careful wording, the subtle reminder that he played well too, even if nobody was talking about it. Because make no mistake, Cam Ward is not the type of quarterback who likes being overshadowed. Reports throughout the preseason suggested that he's fiercely competitive, obsessed with film study, and determined to justify every expectation placed on him. And when someone as driven as Cam suddenly finds himself being compared to another rookie, especially one on his own team, that dynamic gets complicated real fast. What made his response even more interesting were the hints of accountability he kept repeating. He talked about efficiency. He talked about missed opportunities. He talked about how he personally needed to be sharper. It was honest, but it was also revealing. It sounded like someone who watched Shedeur's performance and realized the bar had just been raised. Then came the line that had social media buzzing. When asked about competing with Shedeur, Cam simply said he was excited to see him keep going and was glad to have him as a friend. Kind words, absolutely. But fans immediately noticed what he didn't say. Anything about feeling the pressure, anything about the quarterback battle, anything about matching that level of play. Instead, his tone carried the weight of a player who knew momentum had shifted. Narrative, fair or not, was beginning to tilt in someone else's favor. Because Cam Ward wasn't just reacting to a great performance. He was reacting to a moment that could shape both their careers moving forward. And as calm as he looked, this was only the beginning. Long before either quarterback threw an NFL pass, their rivalry was already taking shape, not on the field, but on draft night. That's where the comparisons began. The debates ignited, and the expectations started piling up. Cam Ward was taken early, surrounded by bright lights, bold headlines, and instant pressure to perform. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders entered the league with a different narrative. Underrated by analysts, overlooked by some scouts, and, according to many fans, underselected compared to his talent level. From the moment their names were announced, the conversation turned into a tug-of-war. And while analysts love to argue, players hear every word, even when they pretend not to. The transcript from earlier gives us a glimpse of that tension. When some fans online, and even insiders, suggested Cam shouldn't have been the #1 pick, it wasn't coming from nowhere. It came from months of heated debate, especially from people who believed Shedeur had proven more on the college stage. The moment Shedeur dropped that 300-yard debut, all those old draft night arguments came roaring back like they'd never left. For Cam Ward, that's the shadow he's been walking in since day one. When you're selected early, people expect early greatness. Not eventually, not someday, but immediately. They expect polished footwork, instant leadership, and performances that justify your draft slot from the first snap. And when you don't explode right away, the noise gets louder. Shedeur, however, didn't carry that same weight. More disruptive. He wasn't just great. He was great in a way that intensified the pressure on Ward. because the narrative suddenly flipped. Instead of Cam is the guy Shedeur must catch, it became Shedeur is the guy Cam must chase. And that kind of reversal hits hard in an NFL locker room. Players feel that energy. Coaches feel it. The front office definitely feels it. Even when the team says publicly that both quarterbacks are vital to their future, privately, every organization gravitates toward the player with momentum. And right now, that momentum is unmistakably in Shedeur's hands. Draft day may be over, but its impact is far from finished. Because as their careers unfold, that night will keep resurfacing, especially if Shedeur continues outpacing the expectations that once belonged to someone else. What makes Shedeur Sanders' breakout so compelling isn't just the numbers, it's the way he carries himself while producing them. Confidence in the NFL can be loud, cocky, even reckless. But Shedeur's confidence is different. It's quiet, calculated, and rooted in preparation rather than ego. And that's exactly what people saw when he stepped in front of reporters after his historic performance. Instead of bragging about being the first Browns rookie to throw for 300 yards, he talked about flaws. Instead of getting lost in the excitement of the win, he talked about efficiency. Instead of celebrating what he did well, he focused on what he could have done better. That's not normal rookie behavior. That's the mindset of someone who already sees himself as a long-term franchise leader. He praised the offensive line. He talked about leaning on the run game. He emphasized precision and timing. At no point did he make the moment about himself. That's the part fans noticed immediately. It's also proclaimed, it's felt. And then there were the subtle moments the cameras caught. The smirk when someone mentioned his accuracy. The shrug when asked about the touchdown. The "it's about time" comment that quietly told the world he's been waiting to show everyone what he's capable of. Nothing about his tone suggested surprise. If anything, it suggested he always expected this level of play. Those details matter, especially when placed side by side with Cam Ward's more measured, cautious responses. Where Cam sounded like he was processing pressure, Shedeur sounded like he was processing progress. Where Cam talked about not playing perfect football, Shedeur talked about sharpening what already worked. This isn't about arrogance, it's about direction. One rookie is fighting to find his footing. The other looks like he's already envisioning, because when a rookie walks into the NFL and immediately acts like a seasoned professional, poised, self-critical, unshaken, coaches notice, veterans notice, analysts notice, even rival quarterbacks notice. Shedeur didn't just rise, he rose in a way that made it impossible for the organization to treat him like just another young prospect. He rose like someone ready to take the job and keep it. While Shedeur Sanders was basking in a surge of momentum, Cam Ward found himself in a completely different spotlight, one filled with comparison, pressure, and expectations that suddenly felt much heavier. And even though Cam tried to keep things steady, his responses told a deeper story than he intended. Cam acknowledged Shedeur's performance, but not with the confidence of a rival standing on equal ground. Instead, he spoke like someone acutely aware that another rookie just leaped over him in the public conversation. He praised the Browns' offensive complementary football and repeatedly pointed out that wins don't hide mistakes. All fair points, but points that sounded more like a quarterback campaigning to keep the belief of his coaches intact. When reporters pushed him about the fourth quarter struggles, Cam admitted they didn't play their best ball. When asked about his own efficiency, he talked about throwing receivers open and putting the ball in their radius, not with swagger, but with the tone of someone reminding both himself and everyone listening that he can do it. He knows eyes are on him. He knows what this means. Even his joke about the interception, the one where he said the defender at least had some accuracy, came off less like humor and more like someone trying to lighten the weight of the moment. Cam isn't collapsing, but he's carrying something now. The pressure of seeing another. And then came the biggest tell. The moment he was asked about meeting Shedeur. Cam said it felt good to catch up and that he was excited to see him keep going. Respectful? Absolutely. Genuine? Probably. But it also hinted at the reality no quarterback wants to admit. Shedeur's success is no longer just another stat line. It's a measuring stick, one Cam knows he's being judged against. This isn't about jealousy or resentment. It's about what happens when two young quarterbacks enter the league at the same time, and one of them starts looking like a franchise face faster than expected. Cam Ward isn't out of the race, not even close, but he can feel the shift. He can hear the comparisons. And for the first time, he's learning what it feels like to play from behind in a conversation he desperately wanted to lead. Inside the Browns locker room, things aren't as calm as they look on camera. On the outside, but behind the scenes, Shedeur Sanders' breakout has shifted the energy in ways nobody can fully ignore. When a rookie walks in and immediately posts historic numbers, it doesn't just boost the team. It changes the hierarchy. It reshapes expectations, and it forces every player, including veterans, to reevaluate the future of the franchise. Teammates respect Shedeur. That part is clear. His poise, his preparation, and his ability to command the field set a tone that even seasoned players can get behind. Tony, one of the team's most respected vets, calls him a true pro, highlighting his routine and the mindset he brings every day. That's rare praise, especially for a rookie. It means Shedeur isn't just impressing the fans, he's earning the trust of the locker room, fast. But respect isn't the same as comfort, because with every great game Shedeur plays, the pressure intensifies for everyone else, especially the comparison, closing in from every angle. Players know the game within the game. The media buzz, the fan reactions, the internal conversations coaches don't always reveal. They can sense when momentum is shifting toward one guy, and this locker room can feel it too. Even Shedeur acknowledges the flaws, the parts of the game that still need tightening. That humility, combined with his performance, makes him even harder to ignore. When a player shines, but still talks like he's chasing something bigger, people gravitate toward that energy. And right now, Cleveland's locker room is leaning in his direction. Defensive players feeding the offense, multiple possessions, special teams stepping up, and veterans rallying around the rookie. All of that paints a picture of a team beginning to orbit around its new centerpiece. But that shift naturally creates internal friction. Not outward drama, not argument. Narratives are changing. The Browns haven't said it out loud, but everyone feels it. Shedeur Sanders isn't just playing well, he's redefining what the future of this franchise could look like. And in a league where opportunities vanish overnight, some players are watching their roles tighten, while Shedeur's influence grows stronger by the week. While fans are celebrating Shedeur Sanders' rise, the Browns front office is feeling a very different kind of pressure, the kind that forces executives to rethink long-term plans they believed were set in stone just a few months ago. Shedeur's performance didn't just win a game, it disrupted the timeline. It accelerated expectations. It created a situation where the organization suddenly has to evaluate not just who their quarterback is today, but who their quarterback must be moving forward. Front office executives notice everything: the velocity of the ball, command in the huddle, how teammates respond, how a rookie handles adversity, even how he carries himself after the cameras turn off. And Shedeur is checking every box the franchise hoped to see from a young face of the team. More importantly, he's checking boxes many thought only a seasoned quarterback could fulfill. But that creates a challenge the public doesn't always see. When a rookie performs at this level, the domino effect touches the entire roster. Contracts that once made sense suddenly look mismatched. Depth charts drawn up over the summer now feel outdated. and internal discussions shift from cautious optimism to silent urgency. Urgency to build around the guy who's proving he can elevate everyone around him. At the same time, whispers around the organization suggest the Browns didn't expect the gap between Shedeur and the other quarterbacks to widen. The NFL doesn't wait for plans to unfold neatly. If one rookie races ahead, the entire blueprint gets redrawn overnight. And it's not just about who starts. It's about investments, future trades, locker room dynamics, and long-term stability. Shedeur's calm confidence makes players want to follow him. But that same rising influence forces the front office to consider whether keeping certain players, especially other young quarterbacks, even makes sense anymore. The biggest twist? Reports claim that some executives believe Shedeur may already be the most marketable and leader-ready rookie Cleveland has had in years. That kind of internal buzz creates momentum, and momentum in the NFL can rewrite a franchise's identity faster than any press release. But as all eyes turn to Shedeur, the Browns now face a defining question. Do they fully commit to building around him now, or risk losing? As the dust settles on this chaotic stretch of headlines, performances, subtle jabs, and rising pressure, one thing has become crystal clear. The Cleveland Browns are standing at the edge of a turning point. Not just a shift in quarterback depth charts, but a fundamental reshaping of what this franchise believes it can become. What began as a simple comparison between two rookies has evolved into something bigger. A story about momentum, leadership, perception, and the unforgiving microscope of professional football. Shedeur Sanders didn't just outperform expectations, he altered them. His poise, production, and presence have forced the Browns to reconsider long-term strategies that once seemed locked in place. In a league where opportunities vanish as quickly as they appear, Shedeur has done the rarest thing a rookie can do. He's created belief, not just in fans, but in teammates, coaches, everyone. And even skeptical executives. That belief is powerful. It shifts conversations. It changes decisions. It creates urgency the organization can no longer ignore. Meanwhile, Cam Ward, through no fault of his own, finds himself in a situation few rookies are prepared for. Instead of competing against the clock to develop naturally, he's now competing against the rapid rise of someone drafted in the same era. His responses in interviews show maturity, respect, and awareness, but they also reveal the weight of expectation. Cam isn't collapsing, he's recalibrating. But the window he expected to grow within suddenly feels tighter, smaller, less forgiving. And running underneath all of this is the pressure of the Cleveland market. A fan base starving for a quarterback they can rally behind. A front office eager to prove they finally got it right. And a locker room that gravitates toward this moment, this exact point in time, may be remembered as the week everything changed. Not because of a single throw or post-game quote, but because the Browns suddenly saw who their future might belong to. And once a franchise sees that clearly, it becomes almost impossible to unsee it. What happens next will define careers. One rookie is rising faster than the script predicted. The other is fighting to stay in the narrative. And Cleveland, once again, finds itself holding a decision that could shape the next decade.